well as one-on-ones, and also at the end we will get a picture of all 5 of the participants together up here at the podium. So without further ado, Catherine Rainey Norman.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Mayor, thank you for hosting, and President and Governor, thank you for joining us as well. This morning, the Salt Lake City, Utah Committee for the Games Strategic and Governing Boards convened so that we could provide updates from our management team in terms of the progress of our bid candidature and updates around the international dynamics for bidding. As many of you know and have reported on, the International Olympic Committee General Session recently convened last week in Mumbai, India, and updates were provided to the membership by the Future Winter Host Commission around Winter Games bidding process. From our perspective, we're encouraged to see the approval of a potential dual award process for 2030 and 2034 should all conditions be met. This aligns beautifully with our preparations to ensure we are well positioned for either iteration of the Games. What I took away from those meetings and what we continue to excel at is the unity that we have within our community, our committee, and our political leadership. Salt Lake City, Utah is an Olympic and Paralympic city and state. We live and breathe this every single day. It's in our DNA and allows us to thrive. Our venues, our people, and our youth day in and day out embrace the values of the Olympic and Paralympic movement. The Olympic and Paralympic Games have the ability to transform Utah and Salt Lake for generations. This initiative has the power to inspire, lift, and change the hearts and souls of each of us. It's more than just a global sporting event. It's a catalyst for positive change. I know that when the Games come home to Utah, we will be positioned to welcome the world with the kindness and warmth that exudes from our people. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to invite the mayor to come up and say a few words as well.
Thank you all for being here today, Governor, President Fraser, Kat, and others. Thank you to our Salt Lake City Council representatives who are here, Councilmember Poi, Councilmember Valdemoros, and Councilmember Wharton. I know that we stand united from Salt Lake City's position, and we are so thrilled to be here today. We are ready, and we're the closest to hearing those excited cheers of a Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games that we have been since closing ceremonies in 2002. For Salt Lake City, this next stage that we're entering in the bid process for the Winter Games is another step forward into our bright future that resonates with our enduring legacy. The Olympic and Paralympics are, as Kat said, truly in the heart and the soul and the DNA of Salt Lake City. And we are exceptionally prepared to host another Olympic and Paralympic Games. Our 2002 legacy and our facilities are built for champions, and they're still producing champions today. We are still home to the greatest snow on earth, and it is fit for athletes with gold medal ambitions and dreams of world-class powder. Our ability to form partnerships from businesses, or rather business leaders to elected officials to Olympians is really truly incredible, and I believe it's unmatched the world over. And it allows us to achieve extraordinary aspirations as a state. Our unity and our enthusiasm, as Kat has mentioned, for the Games reaches far across our different communities, throughout different generations of Utahns, and through different political affiliations. That is also exceptionally unique. More than 80% of Utahns want to host another Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games. Our public support is truly unmatched. Since 2002, our slopes, our facilities, and our Olympic and Paralympic enthusiasm remain as high as ever, even with the fastest growing population in the nation. Salt Lakers and Utahns' enthusiasm has not changed. Our facilities have been used to host over 50 international World Cup and World Championship events. Our venues have trained and continue to inspire future Olympians and Paralympians and champions of our world. Over 1.4 million athletes and visitors have experienced one of our Olympic legacy venues. And on average, more than 30 countries and 1,100 international athletes train at our venues every single year. Beyond our winter sports infrastructure and expertise in hosting the world, Salt Lakers and Utahns possess a truly unique spirit of volunteerism and care for one another. We are first in the nation for volunteerism, and on average, Utahns volunteer 116 hours per year compared to the American average of 90 hours per person each year. We are eager to welcome the world again and to facilitate an atmosphere that uplifts and inspires athletes and visitors from across the globe. I can't wait for next month when I get to represent Salt Lakers and this great city as I join Governor Cox and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic leaders to present to the future host commission. I am committed to continuing to work together with all of our partners in a targeted dialogue so that we can hopefully, and we would, deliver a robust and complete plan. And it will be focused on sustainability. This makes Salt Lake City Games a surety and a future success. I told our team yesterday that we are now on the short track and we are ready to skate across this finish line. I'll turn the time now over to our great Governor, Spencer Cox.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership on this issue that is so important to all of us. You stated so eloquently the things that I think are in our hearts and that many of us are talking about. I need to give a special thanks and congratulations to Kat and Fraser for your leadership. We are so fortunate to have such experience both in getting the Olympics and executing on an Olympics in 2002, the leadership of Fraser, and having an athlete at the head of our organization to lead us is very unique and different, and has made a tremendous difference as we prepare for future games. I'm grateful for the leadership in our state, both at the state level, President Adams, Speaker Wilson, who's not here with us today, and local leaders like Mayor Mendenhall and others. We are 100% united when it comes to elected leadership in the state, bringing the Olympics here. As the mayor mentioned, getting more than 80% of Utahns to support bringing future games here is truly remarkable. I like to say it's almost impossible to get 80% of anybody to agree on anything these days, and so getting 80% to agree that this is good for our state is really tremendous. I'm especially grateful that Mayor Mendenhall touched on the volunteerism piece of this. I have heard a little thread out there of people saying, well, why aren't other countries as interested, or states as interested in the Olympics as we are here? Maybe it's a bad sign, somehow turning this into some sort of a negative. And I want to assure you that it's not that way at all. One of the reasons that Utahns are so enthusiastic and leadership is so enthusiastic is because, one, we've done it before. We understand how to run a successful games, both an economically successful game, but also a competitively successful games. We also know that we have the infrastructure here to do it. We already have the facilities, and the facilities are well kept and well maintained because of great decisions that were made by leaders previous to us to make sure that we were able to do that with the revenue that came from the first Olympics to keep those viable. But the most important reason that we can host a game that others would struggle with is because of our people and their willingness to volunteer to make this happen. Knowing that we have an army of people who are willing to give of their time, of their energy to make this happen, which will save the state money, which will make it economically viable and possible, makes this so much more important. And that brings the unifying effect. I can't wait to have those games here, to see our hearts and minds knit together in a positive way as we compete in the right ways, bringing, again, not just Americans, not just Utahns, but citizens of every country all across the world coming together to celebrate sport and the power of competition. We need some hope today in a darkening world, and the Olympic movement and the Paralympic movement give us that hope and that opportunity. I will not be governor when the Olympics come, but I hope you'll let me sign up Abby and I to be the first volunteers. We can't wait. And with that, please welcome Fraser Bullock to the stage.
As I was sitting there, I reflected back on opening ceremonies of 2002. Kat was in the crowd, part of the athlete family there. What a special time that was. And I remember thinking, in the troubled time our world was facing at that moment in time, the entire world felt unified. We all came together as humanity. All the countries from around the world all pulling together under the umbrella of the Olympics and Paralympics and sport. And as I would walk downtown each night, going to various activities and events, making sure everything was working properly, I felt this spirit of unity. Kat talked about it. The games are about unity. At a global level, at a national level for Team USA, and at a local level, where we all work together. We volunteer together, and the games have the opportunity to bring that unity. And we feel it right now because we're all pulling for this time together. And our opportunity is to utilize that spirit of unity not only today, but all the way through our journey to the games and after. And that's one of our big ambitions, working with our leaders to see how is that possible. And so I'm grateful to be here and to be part of it, and I just want to give you one little anecdote, Governor and Mayor, relative to volunteers. So we had an ad to recruit volunteers in the newspaper. It said, hard work, long hours, no pay, better hurry. And we had 64,000 people sign up for 24,000 slots. And the statistic was we had measured the attrition rate of previous games, and typically it's hard. It's a lot of work. The attrition rate was about 17% from opening ceremonies to closing ceremonies. Our statistic was 0.5% of attrition. People love the games here in Utah. Now, where are we? Well, we're at a very important intersection or inflection point for our road to host the games again. What the IOC Executive Board did and session did this last weekend just continues to put us firmly on the road to get us hopefully in the position where we can host another games. It was remarkable in terms of the steps that they've taken, and we look forward to that continued journey with them, where we have the potential of being a recipient of a dual award. Nothing's guaranteed. Things are looking good today, but we have work to do. And the next step of that work is that we present our plan to the future host commission, and I apologize to the mayor, it's election day, and to the governor. That's the day that they've selected. It's November 21, early in the morning, but it's an important thing to do, and thank you, Mayor, for committing and Governor to join us for that day. We'll present an update to our plan, where we are, and one of the big things that we've accomplished, is we've stayed ahead of the requirements. We have 100% of our federal guarantees, our state guarantees, thanks to President Adams and Speaker Wilson and Governor Cox, and all of our municipalities, thanks to the City Council here, Mayor Mendenhall, Mayor Worrell, all the venue communities have signed up. That shows unity and strength and enthusiasm for hosting the games. So I would say with the step that was taken last week, before that, our odds were kind of here, which were pretty good. I would say after that, our odds are up here, where they're excellent, that we will be hosting a future games and hopefully have some news here in the near future. After our meeting with the future host, after our meeting, sorry, I messed up somebody's microphone. There we go. After our meeting with the Future Host Commission on November 21, They will report to the IOC Executive Board, and the IOC Executive Board will meet November 30th and December 1, and we hope to hear some positive news coming out of that. So we look forward to that, and then hopefully we can have a celebration if we're invited into targeted dialogue, which means basically that the IOC has invited us in to a deep review of our bid, a contract negotiation to host a specific edition of the Games. Then ultimately we look forward to the opportunity and potential of being awarded a Games sometime next year, we believe in the first half of next year. So we appreciate all the support, the unity, the help from our political leaders. That's the wind at our back. That's how we keep going. And the public is the big push to everything we do. So thank you very much.
Wow, another exciting week for Utah. You know, Fraser, as you talked about the opening ceremonies for the 2002 games, I was in the north end zone, probably at the top of the bleachers. But I will never forget when they brought in the 9/11 flag and the unity we felt, not only as a community, but as a nation. And we sense that same unity today. That we have the governor, we have the legislature, we have the mayors, we have the public, we have the team all working together. And we have a veteran team, Fraser and Kat. Thank you for all your work. What you've seen happen with the Olympic Committee wouldn't have happened without your great work, so thank you. The games, for me, are more than just the games. They represent the spirit of Utah. My home is 20 minutes north of Salt Lake. I can be here in 20 minutes. But I can also be at Snow Basin Ski Resort in 20 minutes. People come to Utah because of our great economy, because of the things we do legislatively, but they stay because of our quality of life. And the Olympic spirit and the Olympic venues are part of that great quality of life, and it's what makes Utah so great. It's fun to be part of this great effort. I, again, appreciate the efforts that have been made to bring the Olympics here to Utah. I look forward to great, fun announcements in the future. And again, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Stuart. We'll now take questions from the media. You can direct them to any of our speakers, and speakers will have you come up if you have a question. Any questions from the media? Yes.
Maybe the state leaders could talk about infrastructure. I know we have a lot of our venues already in place. Is there any state funds or any infrastructure needs that will still have yet to come, and how much is going to them?
Fraser? Yeah, that's fine. Because we're going to take a photo of all of you too, so we'll let you go ahead on that.
I think that's it.
Do you want to talk about facilities?
Yeah, why don't you? We can jump in.
Yeah, so we are very fortunate that we have two types of venues. One are commercial venues like ski resorts, the Delta Center, et cetera, and then we have our specialized Olympic venues that require subsidies. Fortunately, and they are in great shape because we have kept them in great shape, and the subsidies have been largely provided over time by the legacy money that was left from 2002. We left behind $76 million that provided that operating subsidy. But over time, the state has stepped in and recognized that our endowment was intended for 20 years, and we're past that 20 years. So the state has stepped in to help keep the venues in great shape. And this is important primarily because these are community assets. It's not just for the games. The games come every once in a while, but these are used by thousands and thousands of kids and adults in our communities, and so they're community recreation centers, and so that investment is in our citizens. And then we're a secondary beneficiary of those investments to keep the facilities in great shape going forward, so that when the IOC looks at us, they say, wow, look at your venues. And they were here, and they saw them, and they saw the competitions, and they said, this is great. This is a key strength for Utah.
Yeah. Maybe I just answer. You know, I've looked at Olympics historically, and most Olympics, when they come, they leave a deficit. They don't pay for themselves, and usually there's a lot of community money that needs to be spent. In 2002, Fraser's exactly right on. We not only paid for the Olympics, but we put together an endowment fund. And that's been able to fund, for most part, the Olympic venues that we've had. We also have community assets that are around some of them are Weber State. I think there's a hockey. I think curling was handled at Weber State. There's facilities there. We built an additional ice rink there, or ice facility for the hockey team in northern Utah. We continue to make public investments in those public venues. And we think it's well to do for Utah. We actually believe that if we have to advance any money for Olympics, those monies will be paid back. But the communities behind the Olympics, we get great public benefit from them. We'll try to separate, make sure the public money is spent appropriately along with the Olympic money. But we are united together, and together we're going to make the 2002 Olympics. I think were the greatest Winter Olympics in the history of the Olympic movement. 2034 will be far greater than 2002.
Salt Lake was on the positive side of that list, though. But how much is snow a concern, maybe looking 34, 11 years from now?
Yes, that is a big concern for the Olympic movement. They had a whole section on climate. And the studies show that Utah is in pretty good shape through 2070, maybe 2080. But when we look at it, as we start to get into March, further out, let's say 2050, 2060, when we have the Paralympic Games, it gets a little more challenging. And so we are totally committed to sustainability. While we think we are in great shape and 2034 will be just fine, what we look at is the long-term viability of winter sport. It's a huge part of our economy here. It's our hope to be part of rotational games, so we need to do our part in sustainability and helping our climate future so that we can have hopefully more games in the future, even beyond 34, if we're so fortunate to be invited into 34.
When would we have an estimate of how much money would be needed to make whatever upgrades we have to the facilities that we have for either 34 or 34? When will we have that estimate? And
if you want to give it, and I can talk a little bit about that too.
Yes. Well, fortunately, the investments have largely been made, and we're having World Cups, competitions at every one of our venues, and it's very exciting. And with the money that has been appropriated, because the facilities do get tired over time, they need to be maintained, and so we're in pretty good shape today. There might be a little bit more in this session to just finish up the work that has been initiated, but overall, the work and collaboration from state government has been phenomenal, so that when the IOC is here, they see it and they are blown away by the quality and use of the venues.
Thanks. Fraser, we heard from you that there's concern about maintaining a kind of support in the community over a long period of time. That was part of the push for a dual award. But of course, the IOC hasn't been exactly clear about how the process works, right? It's so flexible. We really won't know when they're going to pick a city to pick a city. So I'm interested, especially from the elected officials, governor and mayor especially, what's the message for Utahns about this process? We don't have a date when this will be absolutely decided. We're getting a dual award, maybe, but it's still not guaranteed there even will be one. We want 2034, but we're also bidding for 2030. It seems like this is probably pretty confusing to a lot of folks out there.
Well, sure. There's no question that the process has been complicated over time. It is a different process, a newer process. I think even the IOC is trying to figure out their process as we are all trying to navigate this new world. But that's why we're here today, to hold this press conference, and it's why we did push so hard for the potential for a dual award. because we have the support now. We have the funding. We have the agreements in place. We've done everything possible for an award. And so what I would say to the public, and I think Fraser would say this as well, the reason we're holding this press conference is because this was a really big announcement. There's no reason to do what they just did if they're not interested in Utah getting the 2034 games, which is the games we're hoping to get. We will do the 2030 games if we need to, but because of 28 in LA, it's better for us to get the 2034 games. And so if they weren't, this is the clearest signal yet. The clearest signal that they could send to us that they're very interested in Salt Lake City. If they weren't interested in Salt Lake in 2034, there would be no reason to even approve the potential for a dual award. And so one of the reasons, again, we pushed for a dual award was to keep that momentum going. We have all of the support. We've done all of the work. We don't want Utahns to lose interest in this and in the process. And so we know that that awards will be made next year. That's very clear. And so we can hold on for some more time. Again, we haven't lost any support. In fact, it seems to be building, and we're excited about that. Mayor?
Governor makes great points. I will add only that I think fatigue sets in when the public anticipate a benefit they do not yet have, and it doesn't come for a long time. We are benefiting every single day for more than 21 years in the investments of the 2002 games. And I think that's why, even with 20% population growth over that period of time approximately, we have not waned in our enthusiasm about the games, because there's nothing that we don't yet have that the games, if we needed to host tomorrow, we would be here. We could host. The benefits are built in to our culture and our communities, and that's why we can say that it's in the DNA of Utahns and Salt Lakers to love the Olympics and the Paralympics. So that there is no bait waiting out there that is unrequited and unfulfilled. We're living the benefits of the games, and we don't want to gamble with that support. We hope also, and it's a very short period of time here, even with the ambiguity of the process, we know that they will be making some decisions in just the next several months. So we're almost there, and I think Salt Lakers and Utahns are wholeheartedly in for this still.
Take one more question.
I think it's actually a good segue to my questions. If you want to stay up there, you can, but also curious from Governor Cox and President Adams. With now, I mean, you're looking at 5 to 10 years, which seems like a fairly small amount of time in government to make this the best Olympics possible. I'm guessing you want, all time. What are your projects that you would really like to see the city and the state hone in on to make this the best, not just for the visitors that are coming, but also for the community at large, as far as like environment and infrastructure?
I'll start at the local level, and of course there's other cities who will be involved in the future games, and they have their own ambitious projects possibly in their master plans and things. But I can tell you that Salt Lake City has been very ambitious, even tenacious, in planning for the growing future that is happening here with or without a games. You see it in a new transit master plan in the last several years. You see it in our parks investment that Salt Lakers voted last November, the single largest parks and trails, our new regional park that's coming. You see it in the Green Loop pilot that we did in May and early June, closing off much of 2nd East and envisioning a 5.5-mile linear park that encircles the downtown. You see it right now on Main Street. And with us contemplating and doing the work of a permanent opening, creating a pedestrian promenade through the heart of downtown from South Temple to 4th South on Main Street. You see it in the kind of connectivity in transit infrastructure that has been advanced by the Opportunity Zone construction in different parts of our city, and the thoughts of a 4th West rail line that was in a long-term, long vision plan and has been expedited because of these billions of dollars of investment into the area that were not anticipated. So there is already a great deal of work being done to access the Inflation Reduction Act, billions of dollars to connect our communities and invest in our infrastructure. I am hopeful that if we are awarded a games, our applications to access those federal tax dollars to do these kind of projects will receive some great favorability because of our opportunity to host the world. And I think the opportunities to work with the state on reimagining spaces like our grand boulevards. We have a fantastic new international airport. I want to see that entrance as you come into the city from the airport and down our grand boulevards be as fantastic as the other changes happening here in the city. So those are opportunities that I hope we'll explore between the city, state, and other partners.
Thank you. I think I agree with the mayor's optimism. It's important to remember that this bid doesn't represent Utah or Salt Lake. It represents the United States of America, which means we get to be the face of this incredible country for a significant period of time as we prepare for those Olympics. It also gives us a marker, and I think having goals and markers are really important, especially in government where far too often, not here in Utah, but generally, people just look to the next election. This gives us a horizon of sorts that will allow us. We've been so focused on working to get the games, making sure, again, all of the infrastructure is in place, the bid is ready to get the games, but getting that award will allow us to then start to dream big on what we want to do. If you think back to 2002, some of the changes that were made, transportation I think is a big one, right? Where there was a big push to do some major transportation projects that needed to be done. We've kept up with that infrastructure spending, and I'm grateful again to President Adams, who's been a champion for infrastructure in our state. But I truly believe that this next 10 years, that this will be Utah's decade as we look back the next 10 years. As we lead up to the Olympics, hopefully we have a Major League Baseball team that gets announced during that same time frame. That's a huge project that will accelerate some of the changes that the mayor has talked about. I think that mass transit projects, we did a lot of those, and of course we're paying those off, being responsible as we should, but I think there's an opportunity for us to expand some of the mass transit, some of those last mile projects that need to be done, those beautification projects. We have a huge investment going into trails in our state that we announced last year that the legislature graciously funded. I'm really excited to see what that multimodal transportation looks like in our state. So again, the walking paths, running paths, bike paths, the transit, more train, as President Adams and I, we love trains, so we're really big on more train transportation here in our country and in our state. But those are some opportunities for us to really dream big with our federal partners, again, representing the United States of America.
And maybe I'd just add, in addition to everything that the mayor and the governor have said, is yet listen to me talk about a little bit of the Olympics are more than the game, they're about the spirit. When you think about people, I had the opportunity to go up to the Olympic venues the other day, and if you haven't been up there, you got to go up and watch the ski jumpers in the summertime, jumping in the water, and get to know those Olympic athletes, the spirit they have and the desire they had to excel. And then you see, when I was there, they had the team from Ukraine there. No cost to Ukraine. We brought them in, and we saw the connectivity between those who were impoverished and those who were having bullets, and we know what happens when missiles get shot and people are killed and families have been lost. And we see them come together, and Utah lead the way to bring that Olympic spirit, that spirit of not only of competition, but that spirit of togetherness. And that's what we have in Utah. And I think if we have more of the same, we are ready. We are willing, we are able, and we will stay ready, willing, and able. I think our public will stay ready, willing, and able because we have that Olympic spirit. As I mentioned, the venues are so close. There's nowhere else in the world that you can be in a metropolitan area like Salt Lake City or the Wasatch Front and experience the great outdoors and the Olympic venues we have. We're going to do more of the same, and we're going to have a great opportunity to host the world. And again, I think it's one of the great things that a veteran team like Kat and Fraser have brought, and it's an exciting day for Utah.
With that, we appreciate